So, you want to know how to make a soup in your Blender? Well, here is the recipe. First, open up your Blender. Then, we will add a mesh circle. Switch to edit mode and select all. Press F to fill the edges with a face. Next, in face select mode, right-click and select poke face. Now that your face is poked, select all the inside edges. Right-click and select subdivide. I will use 6 levels. Now, scale your circle to fit a soup containment device of your choosing. I will be using pot. Create a new material and call it soup. Find an image of soup on the interwebs and add it as an image texture to the color socket of your material. Select all faces in edit mode and tap U on your keyboard to unwrap the circle. In the UV editor, align the circle to the soup image like so. We can duplicate the image, make it unique by clicking this number, and switch the image texture node to non-color to use as a driver for the soup material's roughness. Run the non-color texture through a color ramp node and adjust it until you are happy with the roughness of your soup. Now let's add a displacement modifier to the soup and create a texture to drive it. Switch the type to clouds. I find a colored noise works best, but play with the settings and see what you like, my friend. I will also switch it from Blender Original to Voronoi F1. Now let's make the size quite small and go back to the modifiers tab. We need to switch the location from local to object. Looking good, my friend. Now we need to add an object for our displacement texture to follow. The best choice is to use an empty, because empties are not visible in the final render. Place the empty over the soup like this, and tap I to add a keyframe to the timeline. Then, move the timeline forward, move the empty, and tap I again to add a second keyframe. Now, when we press play, the empty will move from the first key location to the second. You may need to move the end keyframe farther away from the first keyframe to slow the animation down. Remember to select both keyframes in the timeline, right-click, and change the interpolation mode to linear so that the animation doesn't fade in and out. To make our soup look a little more appetizing, we can add a subdivision surface modifier under the displacement modifier. And we can even add a smooth by angle modifier and check ignore sharp. Now let's make animated steam rise from the boiling soup. I will add a mesh cylinder and adjust the segments down to 24, position the cylinder over the soup. Create a new material and replace the principled BSDF with a principled volume shader node. I will switch back to the cycles render engine so that the volume looks cool and good. Let's control the density with a noise texture. I know you already have the Node Wrangler add-on activated, so select the noise node and tap Ctrl+T to add a mapping setup. Scale the noise texture on the Z-axis to stretch it. Add a color ramp and adjust the levels. Where you see black, there will be no volume, so adjust it to your liking. Now to make the steam fade at the top of the cylinder, let's add a gradient texture and use Ctrl+T again. Switch the coordinate to object and rotate the texture so that the gradient is at the top of the cylinder. We want the steam to fade out, so we'll add a color ramp, create a third handle, make it a dark gray color and adjust the node until we have a nice fade like this. Hold Ctrl and Shift and right-click drag from one color ramp to the other to connect them both with a mix node. Now I'll move the gradient textures color ramp to the factor socket and plug a value node into the top input of the mix node. You may need to invert your color ramp. To animate the steam, change the noise texture to 4D and keyframe the W value. Wow, this is looking so dadgum mother freaking cool and good, and I want you to know I am very proud of you. The last thing I want to do is select the empty, the steam, the soup, and then the pot, and hit Ctrl+P to parent everything to the pot. Now when we move the pot, everything else moves with it. And that's it. Thank you for watching my very first YouTube video. I hope you think it is cool and good. Remember to check me out on Instagram and transfer $3 million into my bank account, and I will bless you blendering journey. Until next time, my friends, bye bye.